started so we get these peeps on. I'm being so, like, gangsta with this because, we're alive. In which...
Are you going to sleep already?
Huh? No, she said she was going to stay up. She said she was going to stay up, and I was like, God dang it, Arya, you better stay up. In which Sticky is a sick zombie, and BBS talks her down. Pop up cast live. Ooh, that is not the tag I used last time. And I don't remember what tag I did use last time. Oh, well. VHAD podcast. No, VHAD. Did you start with ours?
With which one?
Ars Paradoxica. Did you start with it?
Oh, yeah. I already did. Episode 5 or chapter 5?
Yeah. Did it suck you back in?
A little.
A little.
Like, I don't know. Like, I expected her to be more of an adult, not like act like a teenager, I guess.
I don't know that she acted like a teenager. I think she's very, like, in her 20s. Firmly in her 20s. Very smart, like, but also very pop culture, like that whole thing.
Yeah. And I was like, like, I don't know, just like, what are you doing? What are you saying? Especially during the funeral, where for some reason she goes up, tries to say some kind words about Quentin, who was killed. And she just says, "Oh, he was basically a creep. He was just all in my space."
I don't remember that. What happened to Quentin?
He got shot
in episode 5.
While she was working on episode 4. You don't remember?
I don't remember Quentin.
She was working. She was working on her time machine, and I don't know, he gets shot in the chest by a bullet. And the bullet time traveled because of the machine.
Okay. Yeah, there are lots of parts where it gets kind of fuzzy because there's so much science in it. But when you get into a story, I completely forgot about that. And I probably was like, okay, girl, I need you to do better. But I think she actually does better. And so that's where it gets to be, yay, there's Ariette. Okay. Let me grab my welcome to Pop-Up Cast, Beacon Hills After Dark. We're live! The podcast where we talk about a podcast that we're the only ones listening to. The way I justified it is that you are one of our stands on our Patreon. And I was like, each stand gets a special cast. And this will be yours. And now I gotta ask, the other ones, like, hey, what do you guys want to podcast about? So remember to put that in your pocket, people. Hey, Miss Ixie Boo. And, I think this will be fun. I think, because what I was originally going to do was go and give everybody in the podcast, like, a code name, so that we could talk about them and people wouldn't know. But then I was like, I'm not going to remember that. So we're just going to talk about it freely. And I don't know. I don't think we're I think you could still listen to it even knowing what happens, maybe. I think it's entertaining.
Maybe. I don't know.
I had a lot of theories.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, should we, like, spoil some of it or, like, stay away?
Okay,
because
right.
I accidentally spoiled.
Oh, did you? With who?
With Phantom Slash. When you were nowhere.
All right. So first of all, I of course am Sticky Keys, and joining me this evening in my den of sickness via the Hangouts is BBS. Say hey, BBS.
Hey, everybody.
Do you want us to call you anything else, or is BBS cool?
BBS is fine.
Okay, we'll call you BBS.
Well, everybody calls me BBS.
Nice. We'll keep it shady. And so at work I have I answer phones at work, but there'll be times where the phones get slow, and then I do what's called busy work. And a lot of it is like just inputting data for reports and creating charts and all this other stuff. So I have my headphones in constantly. I listen to a ton. Hey, Ryan with Cupcake. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I've been really getting into fiction podcasts because I love the idea of kind of like a little mini movie in my ear. Blacklist used to do these table reads, which were fantastic, and they discontinued them. So I've been looking for good fiction podcasts. One that I found recently, after much prodding from Ariette, was We're Alive. I was like, no, I don't want no zombies. I'm not going to do it. She was like, no, listen to it. It's really good. That's my impression of you, Ariette. I don't even know. That's a terrible accent. No, listen to you. No, see, it's kind of German. I mean, it's kind of Jamaican. Jesse child. Listen to the rhythm. But that is how Ariette sounds in my head half the time. And so I started listening to it, and I was like, it's not even that was amazing. It's very low budget. It's scrappy. It is scrappy, but it's well done. And it was so funny. We've been recording these commentaries for the season 1 rewatch. And I was talking to Ethan and Fandom Slash, and I was just talking. And I was like, I'm talking way too much about this podcast that neither of them are listening to. But I said, the funny thing, the comparison comes in that they learned, they grew, they had a plan from the beginning, and they got better each and every season. And even, there's some of the actors that they kept on because they were loyal to them, and that's a fantastic thing. I don't mind that. But they were able to kind of work with those faults and really figure out how to bring those all together. And they were able to course correct when things were getting shady, and not one plot point was left on the ground. And I was just like, oh my God, this is this is a really...
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Put your mute on. Okay. That's no worries. If you get interrupted, just put your mute on. And then that way you can say what you need to say. And so, yeah, it was, yes. Sebastian the Crab. Oh my, you got to kiss the girl. That's Ariette. Ariette is like, kiss the zombie. And so, I really, really enjoy it. So, We're Alive. They do have a website. It's we'realive.com. And there is a podcast. Fandom, BBS, tell me about, kind of how you got started listening to it and who your favorite character is. And while you're doing that, I'm going to run and grab this toast.
Okay.
Be entertaining.
So, I remember that in the podcast, I don't remember who recommended it. I think it was Dan. That he says, We're Alive podcast about zombies. And I remember thinking that, I was like, no, zombies, nah. Like, I already had too many dreams about it, and me waking up trying to, like, jump out of my bed and run out the window. And I remember, I was at work. I was literally just sitting down, doing nothing. And I was like, let me go through the list of the podcast recommendations.
Yes.
Sticky had, and I saw We're Alive podcast, and it's like zombies. I was like, if it gets too scary, I'll just like nope out.
Yeah. Do you like zombie stuff?
Yeah, I like zombies, like watching the movies, and that's about it.
See, I am exact kind of opposite. I hate scary stuff. However, you know, I love stories where, like, it's against all odds, you know? And people are, like, going through some things and they got to fight for survival and what happens when your world changes completely. And so that's usually what kind of draws me in.
Like, I don't know, with me, it's just like, I like to see them, I like to hear about them, but like, I don't know, my mind just goes crazy and say, okay, what if a zombie apocalypse actually happens? Like,
no, I told you about
like,
this.
you know, that's when...
Yes, I told you. And see, and y'all tried to be cute and sympathetic, and I was like, I'm not having this. When the other day, outside my window, first I heard what I thought was a baby crying. And I was like, because literally it was like, and so I was just like, oh my God, who has their baby out? It is so cold. And so I was just like, I don't understand. So I heard that actually one morning because I heard the door open. I heard the baby crying, and then I heard a car start. So I said, oh, someone must be taking their, must have decided to start their car first and then just left their baby inside. Which I'm like, that's real suspect, homie. I don't know if you can get away with doing that, but at least you weren't trying to have your baby all up in the elements, you know? And so, And so then... the next day, I heard outside my window, like at 1:30 in the morning. And I was like, what is that? Why? Why is there a baby out this early? So I looked out my window, and then all I saw was this cat, right? And it was this black cat with a little white belly and white paws, and it was just sitting there facing this bush. So I was like, first of all, I thought we had a Moses situation where I was like, someone done left their baby in the bush, and now I have to adopt it and raise it. You know, I was just like, I don't understand what's happening. So then I hear, and I was like, oh my God. I went and got my blessed oil. I went and got my Bible. I was like, I having this tonight. And so I was just like, so I'm hearing, and then I'm hearing, and so I'm already listening to this show about zombies. And this is why I can't do it, because I get way too invested. And I'm like, Stacey, you know intrinsically that it's not zombies. You know it's not zombies. But what if it were zombies?
Yeah, I remember that happened to me too. I remember it was like 8 or 9 at night, and I was outside. And where I live, some streets don't have street lights at all, so they're like completely pitch black. And my street has some, but the next one over doesn't. And I was like, just like, I forgot what I was doing.
Right.
And I heard like a pig squeal like in the distance. And I was like, that better not be one of the smart ones.
One of the quick ones, the small ones. It was terrifying. Oh, okay. So to conclude the cat story. So, girl, no, let me tell you, I didn't act like the white girl. I act like the black granny. So first of all, see, this is how you know. I saw the cat, and I was going to tap on my window to try to get it to go away. But I said, that's one cat. And I don't want that cat necessarily knowing I'm the one causing trouble, because that cat has like hung out around our door before. So I was like, I'm not trying to get on your list. And I didn't want to tap on the window and then the cat look at me like a demon cat and be like, you know, so I was like, okay. So I went to the living room and I looked out the window and I was trying to see if there are more cats, and I'm just hearing all these noises, but I only see the one cat. So I went and put on my granny slippers, and I have this camo robe that I put on, and I grabbed the Swiffer mop. And the way our apartment is the first apartment when you come in the front door. And so I went to the front door and I opened it slightly. And I there's like this huge bush right there, like a wild grass, like prairie grass. And so I said, ch, 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 and then I hit it with the mop. And like 3 cats flew out of the bush and then like went running the opposite direction. This mangy little orange tabby and this some other little cat. But they all ran away and they have not been back since. Mostly because it's been too goddamn cold. But I was like, y'all ain't gonna be having no cat porn orgy outside my window at 1:30 in the morning. And they're like, oh, let the cats have their fun. I was like, I will kill all y'all and have a cat scarf. Don't play with me. So yeah.
Well, now only if you can use a mop on Beardica.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Sweep them all up. They're just they're so frustrating. It's so funny.
Oh my god. I don't know what Tyler is thinking.
No, it's both of them. It is both of them 100% equally. They are both trifling. But it's so funny because I totally called them going here. It looks like there's yet another one. Ooh, I'm hoping the sound didn't cut out. Hold on. You guys let me know if the sound cut out or anything. Because I switched away. Okay, I'm back. I think we're good. But we'll talk about them in a minute. I just made sure to save the video because that's what matters. Okay, so we're live. It's a story of basically something happens in LA and a bunch of motorists start attacking each other. And, or just a bunch of people. It's kind of random, the amount of different people that kind of attack each other and that kind of stuff. But it's set in LA, and basically there is this zombie apocalypse, and we end up being saddled with Michael, who is a sergeant in the Army. Angel, who is
an officer, that's all they say.
Some sort of officer, yeah. And then Saul. Saul is my boo, even though he was acting real crazy towards the end. I understand, but he was still acting a mess.
Oh my god, it just like irked me.
Yeah. But I get it on both ends, where I'm like, look, Saul, I understand you going through some things, but you're going to need to go through these things later, boo. I need you to calm down. But, so basically there are all these attacks, and hey Emma, and hey Gee, and yeah, we talked about young Merlin cat orgy. Basically all these people start attacking each other, and right off the bat, the army, they're like, okay, we went to the army bases, those things are getting in here, our commander is dead, I think one of those dudes is our commander. And they go and they find this apartment building, and they basically figure out how to commandeer it, how to isolate it so that they can use it for survivors. And it's the apartment building of Angel's girlfriend. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you just and then of course Angel's girlfriend is dead, unfortunately. Or did he have to put her down?
No, she was a zombie already, so
I think
she had to put her down.
Yeah, I think she was dead already. And they have they have a lot of those kind of moments where there's just lots of like really a lot of peril. And what's interesting, especially about the reactions, is sometimes they will get caught up in the everyday kind of minutia of things. And you're like, you guys, your everyday minutia doesn't exist anymore. You need to stop arguing. You need to get over this, you know? So it really starts out with them having this apartment building and protecting it against the biters, what do they call them overall?
I think biters, because
I thought so
Michael
too.
Because Michael was very like, didn't want to give him a specific name because for some reason.
Well, didn't want to humanize them.
Yeah.
And so, one thing that really worked in it is that these zombies were a little bit different. They were mostly kind of medical, but they were also, they had different skill sets. You had some, as time went on, you had some that were short and fast, and they called those the little ones. But then eventually they grew big. You had these big gargantuan ones. Then you had the one that was kind of in control. His name was Ink, and he had a lot of tattoos on his face, and he also had some semblance of control. Not necessarily humanity, but definitely more of a control. And so, basically, it's just finding all these people that kind of end up together and how they work together. So, BBS, who were like a couple of your favorite characters, and then which characters could you not stand and wanted to get bit by zombies? We're just talking about the tower people now. We're not talking about the Maulers yet. We'll talk about them in a second.
Okay. At first I liked Michael because he like took control immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was obviously the leader.
Yeah.
And Saul, because like he was the
kind of the comic relief. Yeah.
And Angel, I couldn't stand Angel
Neither
at first because he was like, because like he was always saying like he's the officer, he ranks higher than Michael, and like, you know, just being really stuck up. Is that, I guess?
Yeah.
Or
just again, really not understanding the situation because he kept trying to pull rank as officer, but he had no idea what to do. So he was just like, I'm freaking out right now, and I'm in charge, and by me being in charge, I'm going to put you in charge. And you're like, okay, Angel, you calm down.
And the rest, like, Pegs was kind of annoying.
Oh,
she was
my God.
honestly annoying.
Pegs was more than kind of annoying.
The Scott McCall.
Pegs is the Scott McCall, and I didn't mean to do that. But when that heifer could all of a sudden fly a helicopter, I was like, God dang you, Pegs! You piece of crap. And evidently on their boards, people hate Pegs, too.
Oh my God.
Because Pegs ended up kind of doing Michael dirty. But Michael was a complete moron when it came to Pegs. Michael and girls, what on earth? I just don't get how dumb he was when it came to, like, liking girls.
No, especially his response after Pegs told him.
Yeah.
Like, I guess.
Well, no, not even that, because, I mean, yeah. I don't know what he was expecting. I think that's what the issue was. I don't even know. And poor Riley could never get her own boo, and she was stuck pining after her person, and...
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Like,
Ariette mentioned
like,
Riley's drinking.
Like, after, like, the reason why she was pining, like, I was like, why? Why did that happen? That didn't need to happen. Well, to me. It didn't need to happen.
I have a lot of thoughts about that, so we'll come back to that. We'll have like a spoiler section, and people can log off if they don't want to hear spoilers. So, okay, in the tower, we have Bill, who is the apartment owner. We have Datu, who is the engineer for the apartment building, so he has some technical skills. We have Lizzie, who is blonde hair and green-eyed. Now, Datu, I was assuming was Indian.
I wasn't really sure.
That was one thing that they didn't. They did a good job with the diversity of it all, you know, when all is said and done. But there were a couple times with Datu specifically and with Riley. Because they had Riley be like full French. And I thought that she was Arab or some sort of Middle Eastern and just knew how to speak French.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden she was like, les incompétents. And I was like, what are you doing? C'est l'amour lesbian. And yeah, I think he's the ships were crazy. And so you had Datu, and then you had Kelly and her nephew Tommy. Kelly, I wanted to punch every single time she opened her mouth.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, girl, are you kidding right now? And then she was like, I want to leave. And he opened the door. He's like, well, then go then. And then a zombie got shot in front of her. She was like, I don't want to leave. But then the next episode, she's like, I want to leave. And I was like, I will kill everybody in here. I said, I don't condone men hitting women, but you get one slap. Just one good slap.
Like with Michael, when it came to that, like he sometimes did almost, I guess, the right thing of teaching the people, saying you're safer here. Mm-hmm. But sometimes he was a real ass, especially when to Pegs. After the first attack. You know, when she triggered the first attack from the zombies. Like Michael, okay, it was. I don't think she deserves the kind of hate that she got because, she knocked down the pot. Oh shit! I'm spoiling.
Oh well, no, that's fine. Because that's the kind of stuff. When it comes to the attacks, it's like something dumb was gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think Pegs was immediately like, oh, let's hide, let's go back inside. But Michael's like, no, it can't see us. There's nowhere up here. It can't get us. And what did they do? It calls its friends.
And that's exactly what happened. That's what drives. Now, I do kind of understand it from Michael's side, not for that specific event, but so many times Michael would just get done rescuing him, and people would start asking him questions that he would in no way have the answers to. Like, Michael, what is he doing? What is he saying? What do they want? And Michael's like, I'm in here with y'all. Why are you asking me questions? Like, if you don't get out of my face. And then they had the traitor, which, I called it. I called that dude.
Oh, really?
I
did not. I thought it was like somebody else. I thought it was Steven. Steven who got Lizzie kicked off.
Oh.
I thought it was him because he was making a scene about it.
I didn't think it was Steven, only because Steven had just gotten introduced for that. And I was like, this is someone that we've had to have some sort of exposure to. Now, what I couldn't quite figure out is, I thought he was working with the Maulers. Okay, so then that's the other part of this, you guys. So, we have all the people in the tower. We have the zombies. And then thirdly, and most stupidly, and by stupidly I mean frustratingly, you have the Maulers. The Maulers are a group of people, and Scratch, who came from the East Bay prison. I don't understand differences between prisons and jails and inmates and prisoners and high security and low max and all that jazz. That meant absolutely nothing to me, but they say it a lot in the show. But they had basically escaped the prison, and then they found a bay in a mini mall to kind of set up shop. And so they started calling them the Maulers. These Maulers are just crazy. Now, basically, you start out with this kind of revenge plot. I can't remember how... Are we talking Saul and Bert going and stealing their gas? Is that how it started?
Yeah, that's how it started. They took what was it?
The tanker?
Yeah, the tanker, there we go.
The big rig or whatever.
And also because Saul went back and followed them, and while Scratch, found them, they were attacked by zombies as well, and some of their people got killed.
Oh, man. See, and so that's the crazy part. Because they automatically showed themselves not trustful. Okay, the head of the Maulers was a guy named... Durai, thank you. I was like, I don't remember his name at all. Oh, okay. So prison is bigger than jail. And Scratch was the governor of Walking Dead after losing his town. Scratch was crazy. Yeah, Scratch is cray. Yeah, Kelly is the worst. So Scratch, basically, okay, Scratch has a twin brother named Latch. Latch was the one who was in prison. They explained this later, and I missed it, and then I never went back to catch it again. Why? How was she there? She was there doing something. Like, she was visiting him or something weird.
No, I think he was in prison, and when the whole thing went down, I think she went to the prison and broke them out. But I don't think she was visiting. I think she just went to go get him.
She just knew he was there. That's a story I want to see next. Because I really did think that they were going to do a backstory of because
about the family?
Yeah, about the family.
Like, they always talk about the family, saying that, they were this huge group.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't give us anything else, especially in lockdown.
Well, and that's exactly, and the family ended up being such a huge part of lockdown that I'm like, I feel like it's going to be a huge part in Gold Rush. And I think that they're going to do their own prequel. I hope they do, at least. I think that would be really cool.
After I finished lockdown, I immediately went to Twitter and was like, what? Like, come on, you guys. Like, you brought up the family again, but you give us nothing?
Right, exactly. I will say that I think it's going to be... I like the integration of the family. I do trust them to follow through, which is not something I could say with Jeff Davis. I do think they'll follow through, but I also think it will take 1.5 years. So we'll see what happens. I like the way that they released Lockdown. I actually really like the way that they released these episodes. There are like 40 some odd chapters, but each chapter is like part 1 of 4, part 2 of 4, that kind of thing. And so it really goes, and there were times where I think just in sheer content, I was like, okay, this is a lot, and I need to take a break and listen to something else. But I was always glad to go back to it, They kept it fresh with changing locations and removing. I think they removed and they added people very well. And they did a good job of establishing your core, but also letting you know that this was kind of up for grabs. And then bringing in new people, like bringing in CJ and having her be such a staple and such a cool part of the show. And Bert, I hated Bert at first, and then I ended up loving him. Then I ended up hating him again. But then I liked him again.
I I immediately liked Bert because he was like, because he knew that like Michael was like wasn't doing what like much or wasn't really thinking about things. Like when he got into the tower, and he tried to act like he was Paul, and like he was Bert tried to kill him right there, but Michael got in the way of it. I was at that scene, at that part, I was seriously punching my pillow. I was like, you let the bad guy get away.
Oh, man. There were so many times. Well, that's what I said. That was the frustrating, maddening part of it, is they had these zombies who were somehow getting smarter and faster and learning more, but they were fighting each other. And I'm like, you guys, so you're going to kill off each other before you get a chance to kill these zombies. It was crazy. I think that, okay, so we have the Maulers, we have the Tower people. Then we have the Colony. I think they did such a good job, because by the time we get to the Colony, the Tower is so much in our rear view, but you don't miss it, you know? You look forward to kind of seeing like where they're going to go next, what's going to happen next. The one part that I thought was just so crazy, but in a good way, is when they originally went to the Colony as a detour and ended up finding it and then meeting up with Vic and that whole shebang. And you see all these different areas of the survivors coming together, but then having to deal with their own problems and their own issues. And some of them were like almost Nazi-like and, you know, prodding each other with cattle prods and all those other stuff to do work. And it's like, are you kidding? Now, Pegs was dumb when she went with that girl, and she's like, oh, yeah, take me to your leader. Oh,
my God, yes. Oh, my God.
And she's like, oh, he's in here?
I was internally screaming. I was like, Pegs, what are you doing?
I was like, Pegs, you dumb. Also, when they jumped in that person's pool, and then she got naked, and I'm like, this pool has got to be disgusting. I'm like, go bathe in the sea. And then they lost the yacht, but I'm like, that was the one thing that was a little bit confusing to me. But I kind of hand-waved it away. These zombies were everywhere. And there were so many of them.
I know.
And I was just like, because like when they were on the boat, I said, how did nobody notice all these zombies? And then when can zombies swim? Why are zombies swimming? The water is supposed to be safe respite.
And oh my God, seriously, like what can't these zombies do? They run really fast, they're strong, they swim. Climb. Now you're gonna say they fly out of nowhere?
I legit thought that one was gonna wake up on the helicopter and start flying the helicopter, and I was like, I'm done with y'all. I was like, I can't do this. We're done. But I really liked the connections that grew between the people. And again, the introduction of the characters. I love Tanya. However, they did have one bottle episode, and I about slapped someone in the face. It was the combination of Datu, the engineer, and Hope, the blind girl.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Okay, so y'all, they have this thing where because it's a vocal medium, all the exposition is done in the dialogue. What ends up happening is you have these new actors that really don't know how to act yet. And so they give this very one-note kind of performance. Datu has always been guilty of this. And he's always been Michael, I don't understand, Michael. Oh, like, I got the parts for the rotary, but how am I supposed to put this together? We're all going to die. And you're just like, shut up, Tattoo, I hate you. He was such a negative
Especially after he was rescued.
Yes! He would do that after. Ooh, what's the point anyway? And nobody's going to come for us and we're all going to die. Some of us just sooner or later. And I'm like, Tattoo!
Oh my God.
Shut up! And it was just, oh my God. So then, okay, so, oh God, such a long story. But Datu was in an arena with this girl who died and he felt really, really close to this girl. Find out that lady has a daughter. This daughter got her eyes all burnt up during the zombie nonsense, and so she can't really see. Her name is Hope. I hope she gets some good padding because I wanted to push her down a flight of stairs. Hope, every single line was a whine, no matter what it was about. Just, you told me to bring you the bottle with the first one, right? 3 and not 4. You know I can't see it. I have to do the bumps on the top. And Tanya's like, yes, baby. Just go get the right one, baby. And she's like, no, okay. Oh, I can see. I don't need this. And I'm like, I hate you. So then they made an entire episode of nothing but Hope and Datu. I can drive better than that and I can't even see. And he's like, fine. If you want to do this, you do it yourself. And she's like, but I can't, I'm blind. I was like, whoever wrote this was crunk. I was so angry. But I was like, oh my, but you couldn't fast forward because there was so much stuff going on. Everywhere else, I was like, I hate you so much that you did this to me. Oh my God.
No, and especially after the place where they escaped, which was one of the 2 safe locations. And after that fell, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that
killed
this happened.
Me. Yeah.
I know.
Because they were up and running for like months. And they were just fine.
And they got wiped out in a couple of hours.
It was rough. That was another thing I didn't quite understand. I'm like, how are they this strong, you know? Like, because they didn't just overtake it, they took it over. Like, people had to run. And one thing I didn't understand, were they turning people like on the spot? Some of the unaffected people?
I think so, because it was one little one, right? One of the smart ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were saying that when somebody got bit, their skin turned pale and was turning kind of like rough as well.
Oh my God! I can't believe that they had like pregnant ladies trying to have like.
Oh my God! Yeah,
when
I was like, oh, I can't imagine that.
That is just too gross for me. Let's see, what is my Datu? I'm gonna call them and be like, let me fill in for Datu. But I also like the introduction. We have some characters that were immune, and I thought that was a really good way of keeping them in the story and then also kind of giving a twist in the story. I think you needed some form of hope. But what was also interesting is they were so limited by their technology that they were so limited by their technology that it's like, you're not going to find anyone who's going to be able to understand the blood type of the immune or what makes them immune. You just know that they are, you know, and it's like, okay, the end.
Yeah, and like with Tanya, like, you know, she tried like to figure out what helps, like how or what turns people. But like, you know, she was a vet, so she like
Yeah, she was
She
like,
can't
people ain't
learn.
even my thing. I just want to be, and this is the second instance of a show putting a random black person as a really smart vet. And I'm like, I should have something to say about this, but I'm gonna leave it alone. But yeah, so oh, I really like Vic. When they introduced him, I really enjoy him. Yeah, I did fall asleep. I don't. So the gas still kind of confuses me. I think they had to be immune, though. I think Ariette said, were they really immune? I thought they were turning slowly, and the gas did something to stop it.
I think. Well, I don't. I'm not sure because I thought the gas turned first people into zombies, but I thought with Saul, like he was. I think was he exposed, and I thought like he was. They built a resistance to it.
See, and first. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think it was just some sort of weird immunity. But man, once it got to, you kind of got to a point where it just didn't matter, where it was like, oh, okay, so you get bit and don't change, but here are everything else to kill you. Literally everything else designed to set you up and for you to fail. And they just kept making it work against the odds, but they knew they had to keep moving. I like the way that they set up the details. I did think it was kind of comeuppance in a weird way. I think I feel this way because I can't stand Pegs, but it made me laugh that as soon as she decided to shoot a gun, she ends up killing like the one most important person that she definitely should not have killed. You're just like, well. And one thing I also liked is when they tried. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, when that thing when she used the gun, she used it to protect Michael because she likes Michael.
Right.
But like
Allison.
But I thought, when when she was looking down at Scratch and Latch, I thought, and she says like she feels nothing, like no emotion. I thought, like, oh my god, we're gonna get like badass Pegs now.
I wanted Banff Pegs, and they did not give us Banff Pegs. They gave us Flower Gardener Pegs.
And again, I was punching my pillow.
Oh my god, it was so funny. Oh my god, stupid Pegs. But yeah, they did all of that, and I'm like, this is the one person. Oh, and so later when they tried to humanize Scratch, I like that it still didn't absolve her. It just kind of gave you a reasoning. Like, she's a complete jerk. Here's a little bit of why, but I'm also sure that she was a jerk before then.
Yeah.
And she'll be a jerk after.
Yeah, I was ready to go to the Twitter page and just yell, like, don't make me feel sorry for Scratch.
Right, exactly. And then I was like, okay, got it, you guys. Thanks. Yay, logically. No. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that podcast. Did you have any moments or anything that you wanted to talk about?
I guess Angel's backstory, I guess, about how, like, what relation that he has with Scratch and Latch and Durai.
Well, I love that he was the fact that he definitely had a relationship with them. I really think that he was like a mole. Like, he was someone that the family planted into the military because he became an officer quickly, and it almost seemed like Michael and Saul kind of resented him for that. And you could do that with nepotism and with, calling him favors and that kind of thing. They always made him feel like it was undeserved. And so now when we find out that he's connected to the family, then that all makes sense. Where it's like, oh, you weren't supposed to be there in the first place. I think he was a good kid, but I also think that he was 100% backed by the family.
Well, I'm not sure about that because you know what Scratch was telling him that he didn't agree with his dad, so he left. But you know he kept his ring. I don't know about that.
Well,
I don't think he was. I never thought about him being a mole for the family. Because why?
Well, just having a position of power in the military is a big thing.
Well, I don't know. The family's like too confusing to really think about because you have very little.
Well, I do know, yeah, that is going to get to a point where it's like, I need y'all to go real in depth with this family. And I need Scratch to not be yelling. Scratch has 2 volumes. She's either, get out here, Michael! Bring your little girlfriend out! Or she's just like, let me tell you a story, Lizzie. But even when she's telling a story, she seems really angry. Just all the time. Like, I showed him mercy. And it's like, you shot him in the head.
Oh my god. No. Oh my god. When that happened, I was like, what now? Like, what? I don't know.
Because
if I could go on.
But yeah, because at that point, it was like, first of all, the way they did that, I was so impressed. Because we had been with Michael for a long time, for like a few chapters at that point. And so I'm like, are we ever going to go back to this tower and figure out who lived? Like, we know someone had to have lived. Where are they? But and then on the other hand, I was like, but I really want to know what's happening with Michael and with this crazy colony and, you know, all this nonsense where they won't let him leave and just all this other stuff. So I'm like, what is going on?
I was talking to Ariette about that, about the colony, that they gave the vibe of like The Walking Dead.
Uh-huh.
When Beth was rescued by the hospital and they told her, oh, since we saved you, you owe us, so you have to work for us now until you pay that debt. And I kind of got that vibe when they fixed Michael, his arm, and Hope was like, oh, you can't leave anymore because it's too late. I got that vibe, so I was like, oh my god.
Well, also, that was crazy. One thing that I thought was a little bit shady. And they did bring it back, so I was happy that they bring it back. But they kept making it a red herring with his arm, where all of a sudden he was pulled into a thing of zombies. And then he shows up and he's like, oh yeah, my arm's broken. We're like, what? How are you not turned? But I did like how they ended up showing that later. And then, yeah, that was funny. But yeah, it was basically like, oh, you've got a skill that we can use. And so you work here now.
Yeah.
I do love how the concept of gay people surviving the apocalypse was just really amusing to him, where he was like, oh, you got to do the strip search and he's going to look you up and down. And then Michael was like, oh, well, you know, that's not appropriate for, I guess, what he was with Pegs and Kelly. And they're like, oh, they're not the ones you have to worry about. And then he was like, me, Michael, a man, but I have a penis. He has a penis. You know, you're just like, no, calm down, Michael. It was a mess. Oh, Angel. But yeah, they broke Angel up. I was actually surprised. Out of all of them, he is the one that I would have expected them to kind of, but I was surprised. And because they really did give him so much story. And so I was just like, what did you think about Skittles?
The Skittles?
Mm-hmm. Skittles annoyed the crap out of me at first.
Well, no, to me he was just there. Like, if he was kind of useful to them a bit, but that's about it. I was like, he's just there. He's just somebody who survived apparently, and is thriving on his own.
but he's so hapless that he shouldn't be able to thrive on his own, but he does. And I kind of live for that with Skittles. After a while, I was like, you know what? You're still surviving, doing it the best you can. They were like, yo, do you want to come with us? And he was like, no, I don't want to come with you. And I was like, well, okay, Skittles. Okay.
Well, like,
you do you.
Well, I wouldn't want to go with them either because
they
didn't have their shit together.
They are
and
messy.
Like, you know, with CJ, her tower, like, it had defenses, had
CJ's
cameras.
Tower was
they had it together.
Dope. It was.
I know,
so
and like
good.
it fell like. It fell easily.
No, it didn't. Well, actually, I'm gonna say no, it didn't. The first time wasn't really her fault because she had the defenses and they were still in place. That was mostly ink, and then the people being really like unprepared and not understanding kind of how to really protect themselves. The last time with the Maulers, that was some nonsense. I'm like, y'all didn't even try to get this mess together.
And what else?
Oh my god!
Oh, when Saul went crazy about Lizzie.
Okay, that one I don't want to spoil too much because that was a big thing. But I agree. I think they did a good job of kind of showing the conflicting emotions. But I think for his story to have been such an emotional backbone for the entire show, especially when his entire journey was what it was, for them to just be like, that ain't my son, and I can't even look at him, and, you know, that kind of thing, then it's like, okay, I understand what's happening, but you're going to need to get over this, and I need you to be super happy and wonderful. I think that they did a good job. They did an okay job with the flash forward. It was just kind of very bittersweet, because you're like, God dang. But
yeah,
that's just...
to me, it was like it was really rushed to me. Like, they just said, oh, there's CJ, there's this person. Oh, do you know that kid? He's this person's son, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, CJ's daughter as well. And I was like...
It was like an epilogue. I think it was like an epilogue. Yeah. And so it wasn't as textured. I think for what they did, it was kind of cool, but... Or not kind of cool. I think it was okay for what they did. I think that there were some things that just didn't mesh up, but I like the way that they ended up tying it with Lockdown. And then I'm interested to see how they kind of tie it in with Gold Rush. Because I think Gold Rush is going to be the soldiers from Fort Irwin before Michael arrives. And how they kind of got through it, from what I understand. Because I know Puck is going to be in it. Did you think that Puck was Saul? Like the same actor, but just with a Boston accent?
I think so.
I literally had to look it up. I was like, is this Puck? I said, is this Saul? Because he was like, yeah, hey, Blondie, da-da-da-da. Then Puck came on. They were never in the same scene until, like, much, much later. I was like, that's the same actor. Only he has this terrible Boston accent.
Wait,
I think Arya thought that, too. I said, I think Arya thought that, too.
Oh, sorry. With Gold Rush, what summary have you seen about it? Because I just see that it's like in the middle of the original story.
Well, I listened to it on Stitcher. And so it has every single one of the special announcement. Oh, here's a message from the creators and da-da-da-da-da. And so one of them was like, follow the story of Puck and the soldiers from Fort Irwin. Da-da-da-da-da. So yeah, it is in the middle of the original story, but it's before Michael gets to the fort. So it's kind of how they got there first, I believe.
Because I thought it was, I don't know, for some reason I thought it was the people who survived after they left. The people who managed to get out, regroup.
Oh, well, no, because I know this one, it is about Puck and the soldiers. And so after they left, Puck immediately went with them. I honestly don't know that people survived. Because they didn't set off the second nuke.
No, they did.
The second nuke? Okay, but they were... See, that was another thing that was a little crazy, too. First, the fact that they were able to traverse from freaking Colorado to, like, California in no time at all. And then...
Wait, was it Colorado? Because I searched it up and it said Nevada for some reason.
Oh, was it Nevada? You know what? They might have said a city that I thought was in Colorado. And it made me think of, did you ever listen to, you're on Ars Paradoxica right now, and they kind of go to a northern kind of city, so I might have been mixing those up. They do the same thing in Limetown, too. You watch, we'll talk about Limetown in a second, because I have a lot of stuff that I forgot, but I also have questions. But yes, the voices cracked me up. Riley. One thing that I really did like was at the very beginning, Michael and his soldiers go into the apartment complex, and Pegs and Riley, they meet up with Pegs and Riley, and then they go to the apartment complex. One thing I really like is that Pegs and Riley were not friends. And Riley could not stand Pegs after a while. She was like, look, I'll share an apartment with you. And she's like, well, I'll have an apartment together. And Riley's like, I'm good, girl. I don't need you.
and Riley even begged Michael to give her a job to keep her away from her.
It was like, give her something to do. I was dying. I was cracking up. I was like, okay. Oh, man. I just think about, like, losing my internet, trying to, like, a water filtration system and just all that stuff, and filling the bathtubs up with water and trying to do a fire hose and all that mess. It's like, I can't do it, yo. Like, we're just gonna have to die. Oh, that's the question. So if there were a zombie apocalypse, what's your method? Are you going to try to survive? Are you going to become a zombie, or are you just going to give yourself to the elements?
I'll try and survive. Like, I'll immediately, if I'm at work, no. If I'm at work or somewhere, I'm gonna immediately just come home, because since here it's like almost pure desert. You can kind of see from a distance, and also because my house has bars on the windows and the doors, so I'm gonna just board up everything, just like try and
Book of Eli style, just stay out there, just secluded, and be like, look.
What about you? Would you
immediately give myself to the elements and just find something to run over me and just go lay down in some traffic? I don't want to be bit because I don't want to be a zombie, but I'm also at that point where I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm fine.
No,
okay.
I would not be able to handle it.
Yeah. Unless now, I was thinking about this. I said, if I had someone with me that I loved, then it's like, okay, we're in this together and I'm not going to let you die. But if we get to a point where we have to like Velma and Louise it, I'm be like, Lord, I just need you to forgive me this once, but we ain't going to make it. We'll see you in a second.
Because I won't be able to handle it alone. Probably with a couple other people,
exactly,
but not a huge group.
Yeah.
Look at Michael and his group. How they're nonsense.
Them bad butt people. Kelly. Oh my, I'm like, I just want to go. I've been a lawyer and this is against my civil rights and I just want, girl, gone. Bye. Bye, girl.
No, but Kelly actually grew. She grew on me because
Kelly
she got a gun. She took action.
Exactly, and then she became like their stenographer and all that crap, and she came up with ideas about the jail. I did like that tie-in with Lockdown, how they ended up kind of tying that to what was going on with the prisoners there at the court, with the jailers, whatever, there at the courthouse. But we'll talk about Lockdown in a second because I really enjoyed Lockdown. Ariette said that she would miss the apocalypse, and I feel you so hard, Ariette. I feel you, girl.
Is she the only one on here?
Probably. But, as I said, this is mostly just for us, but it's all good. She was asking about how the zombies got made. So Tanya had a theory that whatever it was that created the zombies had always kind of existed. And so, but deep in like the Earth's core. And hey, Miss Ixie. And, she, basically something happened to shake it up to release that gas. And that gas is what turned the first few. And then those few turned others. And then others turned others. The weird thing was because the outbreak seemed to happen everywhere. So it was like Hawaii and parts of Asia and all that stuff, which I felt was a little bit overly ambitious for what they were trying to do. But, I don't know. I wish that they would have kept it a little more local, only because it makes the cause, well, it makes I always call him William Barrow. Do you remember Barrow from season 3B of Teen Wolf, the guy with the flies?
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
So Ink is basically like Barrow to me, where he's just kind of this like sciencey dude that got bit. What I couldn't fully understand, what I thought happened was that Ink was trying to do an experiment and used himself as a test subject. And because his wife was cheating on him and all this other stuff. I think that happened, but I also think the zombie stuff was kind of happenstance. And that's where I don't understand fully the connection. Is how was he, because they said, oh, what kind of zombie you are originally kind of determines how smart you were. So if you were super smart in real life, then you'll be a super smart zombie. But that seemed to kind of go away or just not really... I don't know. What was your take on that in terms of Ink and how he got started?
I think the zombie apocalypse happened. It was on its own, like its own separate thing from Ink. Because I think Ink was just going crazy to me. From what they were saying, like I think he just got crazy, and he got caught by one of the zombies and got bit. And I guess like he probably, I'm not sure if he injected himself or something, because like when people say that when you get bit, their eyes get cloudy,
right?
And his didn't,
right?
It, like they always say, oh look, I can see his green eyes,
right? I thought that they were gonna have a connection with him and Lizzie when they said that originally. Yeah.
I was like thinking about like, oh, what if like maybe the reason Lizzie's immune is because she's related to Ink. I was like, wait, no, that's Saul. Never mind.
Right. I was trying to figure that out too. Oof. Oh, please don't get crumbs everywhere. I am. Sorry. There we go. So yeah, whoo, what was I gonna say? Something about Lizzie. So Ink. So yeah, okay. So he was super smart in real life. He became a zombie, and then I think he saw a way to kind of get control. And it was finally a way for him to get control that, now, okay, so what kind of messed me up was he was preparing for the zombie thing, which we find out more kind of later. He had been tatting himself up with like homemade prison tats for weeks up until that point, right?
I think so.
And so I just don't quite know. I don't know, but I was entertained. I will say Lockdown. So the first couple of episodes of Lockdown, I was like, no, the first episode of Lockdown, I was like, I don't know about this. Where my peeps at? Yeah, that kind of thing. Like, I know we going. And so then they kind of, you started to learn more about the prisoners. And I liked the girl hacker. I liked, the girl cop. Or,
Danny?
Danny. I like Danny. And Jody. Is that the other girl's name? Jody?
Yeah.
I like the poet guy. I thought it was one of those characters where I feel like he would have been polarizing. People would either love him or hate him. And there are times where I'm like, boy, if you don't quit these rhymes and learn how serious your circumstances is. But they gave him that, and I actually liked it quite a lot. And
also Jeremy.
Yes, Jeremy.
There's Mark.
Yes, Ariette.
Gavin and Fredo. There we go.
Fredo was crazy. Fredo was like, look, my name is Emmett and I ain't in it. But Jody was the only one that could talk to him. And so Fredo was just like, okay, I'll do for you. And he became his little hero at the end. I was here for it. And then,
what was the last Simon.
Simeon.
Slash
Simon. Simon was, that dude. I knew he was shady from Jump Street. And as soon as he got that steak, I was like, oh. They're going to get you, Simon. I said, I don't know the connection yet, but they're going to find something. And I did think it had something to do with the dudes that he killed when they asked, but I also don't think that it was no accident. I think Simon was like, pop, gotta go. Because he was cold-blooded. But, that's a story for a different time. I really enjoyed Lockdown, and I think it was such a good kind of drop-in with enough of the other characters. I thought it was interesting that Jeremy was willing to test all that. And they were like, oh, we ain't gonna stay at they're definitely coming back to the family. Because now we have Jeremy and then the other two people out on the road. So we gotta come back to the family.
Yeah, like, that's why, like, they dropped that bomb that he was a part of the family. He did all of that just to kill Simeon.
Oh my God.
And he was like, and that the family's still alive, because he said, oh, they're waiting for me. We gotta go.
Yes, I was here for it. Because he was wrong what he did to Danny. Dang, Simon. Like, y'all are right there at the finish line. You just go, like, it's like the tortoise and the hare is at the finish line and goes back and steps on the tortoise. And then goes to the finish line.
Yeah, he slit Gavin's throat and ran over Danny. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing?
So he deserved what he got, and I'm happy that he did.
Do you think Jeremy is CJ's daughter's dad?
Okay, so that's a part that I completely missed. Who is CJ's daughter?
She comes up in in the epilogue, but it's like almost a blink and you miss.
There we go. Okay. That's right. She did have a daughter. Okay. I don't know. Because, well, actually, that actually makes sense. Because lockdown would have happened before the epilogue. Oh, man.
And like I saw a thread on the internet where it says like it lines up because it was like, you know, implied that Jeremy and CJ are together, and especially with that tape that he left for her. And things like by that time, Nick would have been already like what 6 months or something about around there.
Gotcha. Now, CJ and Jeremy were together. What about but CJ was also with Sean, right? And then Sean got killed.
Yeah.
And then she tried to get with Saul. Oh, do y'all not have sound? Oh, we'll come back. You should have sound. Let me know. Because I can hear you just fine, baby. Yes, you good. Someone type something. Ariette, you still with us, boo? And Ink did do experiments on the different types of zombies in the prison, which was crazy. Okay, cool. Get it together, Miss Ixie. No, just playing. Love you, boo.
Oh, yeah, when he turned one of the prisoners into one of the big ones.
Yeah, man. Oh, and Tuna Fish. What was his name? What did they call him? The stinker?
I think it was Funk.
Funk. There we go. Oh, man. Those...
Yeah, like he injected him with that chemical and then bit him in the neck.
God dang. That was crazy. It was so good.
No, you know what's actually crazy? That, you know, the people, like, you know, can't get their shit together, but the zombies have.
But the zombies are so organized. That was the funny thing where, so, okay, what was the main guard who was in charge? What was his name?
For who?
The main guard who was Mark and Plato.
Oh, okay.
What was that?
It was Mark and Danny.
No, okay, yeah, Mark and Danny. But then when they went on their original mission to get the MREs or whatever, you had Mark, and then what did they call that guy? Like Raphael, or like it was some sort of shortening of like a Renaissance name. The guy who was like, I was supposed to be out today, and maybe I'm thinking of the poet. It wasn't the poet, but this Caleb, something with a K. I don't know. He was trash, but I did understand because he's like, there is no world anymore. You know, he's like, so I really don't need to be here. Like, we're here helping you out. We're all equal. Don't act like when all this is said and done, we're just going to go back to being prisoners. But they're standing there having this fight and this argument. And, you know, they had the tasers that were now outfitted to be lethal. And they were like, basically ended up killing each other over some nonsense, you know? So it's just like,
yeah. That Mark tasered
that guy, Chuck?
Chuck.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And then Mark got scratched or something.
He got bit, yeah. Or like scratched or something, yeah. And I said, well, God dang, and then they had to take him down. So I was just like, well, oh, well, sorry, Mark, but you know, that's what you get for being so rigid.
And also when Datu, when he got bit.
Datu's the freaking worst.
I was like, okay, like Glenn got ripped to shreds. The other guy, Jay, he got bit and turned, but Datu, for some reason, survives a little longer. After all his whining, I was like, ugh.
Oh my God. I was like, y'all are just going to draw this out. And then so it took them going back to the arena where he's like, I think it's time. Goodbye, cruel world. And I was like, I hate you, Datu, just die. Oh man. And then Hope stank, but even when Hope was being dope, she just still was whiny. She couldn't help it. She's like, give me the baby. I know what to do. I can take the stairs. The gas won't hurt my eyes. I already can't see. I was like, I hate you, Hope. You gonna give this baby to a blind girl on some stairs. Talk about go out on the fireplace. I was like, girl, y'all sit down. She was so trifling. So trifling. And I loved every minute of it. God dang it. Peg's like, F you! Pop, pop, pop. And Scratch was like, oh, aren't that cute? Now, we talked about this before, BBS. They did Scratch dirty. I know Scratch is the enemy, but I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine.
She deserved it.
She probably did.
Okay, look, they had the zombies to deal with already. Like, why did she make herself, like, a problem for them? Like, Jesus, no, she deserved it.
Oh, man. I can't. He cemented her over. So he made it so that even he would not be able to go back and get her out. Oh, my God.
I was like, why did it take so long to get to this point?
Yeah, that's true. There were several times that they should have just taken her out. And I love that the other dude that was with them just completely sold them out. The little Weasley dude that tried to rape Lizzie, and then Lizzie was like, how about these guts? Oh, man. I can't deal. I was loving it. So, yes, we do have to start a new podcast together. I will go through some options and I'll put them in the podcast talk page and we'll figure out a good one. You're listening to Ars Paradoxica. Ours is fantastic. They do get kind of, it does get sciencey, like crazy sciencey. But the story overall, especially once they get to the time travel kind of opening up, it gets so good. I'm telling you, there is one part where I'm like, I need to stare at this immediately. It's not unmistakable. The disappearance of Mars Patel is a really cute one. Now, I thought that it wasn't for kids and that it was just made to feel like it was for kids because they talk about, oh no, check it out, Ariette. It's fantastic. But they talk about, there's a lot of sciencey stuff in that one too, in the Mars Patel one, where I was like, how is this for children? But I was like, oh, I guess, kids are smart. But it's really inclusive. It's a lot of fun. Limetown was great, but you need to listen to Life After. Life After will make you pull out your hair in the best possible way. Because Ross is a hot mess. That might have to be our next podcast, is talking about Life After. I will re-listen to the entirety of Life After just to talk about how much of a hot mess Ross is. It's so good. I started kind of listening to Bronzeville, and I will recommend it, but I'm like, this is Black History Month. I can only deal with so many period typical slurs in my ear. Like, I don't need to. I don't need this right now. I do want to listen to Issa Rae's Fruit. That's on Stitcher Premium. And it's about a football player who's kind of down low and everything that he kind of goes through. I started listening to The Far Meridian, which is slightly annoying. So we'll see but again, they're on. I hate when people make podcasts and then they stop to start another podcast. And I'm like, finish the first one. And then we can talk about all these new exciting ideas you have, And so, because I had started listening to The Message. No, what was it called? Something. I can't remember. Oh, Steal the Stars is another good one. And I had started listening to... I'm going to find one. I actually just found the Audio Drama Sunday podcast hashtag. And so that had a lot of really great recommendations. There was one called Boston something, but I just couldn't get into it. It sounded like a bunch of Canadians trying to be from Boston. And I was just like, this isn't right. Same with Rabbits. Rabbits had so much potential and so many places that they could have gone. Ariette, you were asking me about, yes, Life After is Everything. Archive 81, yes. Archive 81 it started out great, but it was kind of trash. Oh my God. The moment she got in the ship and talked to this other dude. Keep going, Ariette, I'm telling you. Yes, yes, definitely check out We're Live Music. When we did the podcast, that list has almost all these podcasts on it. And I'll actually add to it. So, the ones that we talked about tonight, we'll get those added to it. I have so much editing to do this weekend. It's going to be crazy. But, I'm excited. And it is the perfect time. I am going to go to bed. But yeah, I'm going to get a good list of some ones that we need to listen to next. There's one called the Bright Tapes or the Bright Sessions. I think there's the Bright Sessions and then there's the Black Tapes. And there's one that I'm listening to now. And it's kind of upsetting because, again, they're at this point where they've gotten kind of burned out on what they're doing. So now they're trying to do this like experimental stuff, which is great, but I'm like, finish what you're doing. And Reggie Watts has a stand-up special and I need to be a part of that. I also want to start listening to Two Dope Queens. So we'll come to that. But hold on, let me mark this as listen later. Alice Isn't Dead. I haven't started that yet. Homecoming. Oh, when the 3rd season of Homecoming starts, then we'll listen to all of Homecoming together. Homecoming is fantastic.
What's it about?
Homecoming is the one where this girl, she had a government job. She works in this diner. And she has lost memory of like 5 years of her life or whatever. Or like the last 5 years she lost her memory. And so some government officials find her and they're like, we have some questions about this time in your life. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so it's so good. It is really, really good. No, I don't want listen later. I want my stations. There we go. Oh, the bridge. Huh? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
When the 2nd season of Limetown comes out, are you gonna listen to everything again?
Yeah. Yes, I will. Because so Limetown. Holy crap. Limetown, Greater Boston. That was the one that I was thinking of. The Unexplainable Disappearance of Mars Patel. It's so cute. It's two seasons, so it's like 20 episodes. It's really quick. I really enjoyed it. Limetown, I understand. Oh, okay. Where Limetown not lost me, but where it started to kind of annoy me was that girl going down in that basement. I was like, Heffa, you should have known better. I said, how did you not put this together? Because one thing that I really, really enjoyed about, yes, the watchtowers in the ocean. We'll talk about that in just a second. Bright Sessions did do a crossover with Ars Paradoxica. Ars Paradoxica, the funny thing is that, when they had that crossover with the Bright Sessions, I still can't get a handle of how the Bright Sessions works. But the girl from Ars Paradoxica also did an episode of Archive 81. But by season 2 of Archive 81, it was crazy. I was like, I don't know what's going on anymore. It's just a mess. But,
Ars Paradoxica, it kind of confuses me sometimes with the static because, it does that sound effect where I think time changes or events change. Or they change settings. It kind of confuses me a lot. Yeah,
they do get that under control. Because at first I was like, "What's happening? Where are we? What are you talking about?" It was just. And then they have these weird bumpers where I've learned how to skip the ads, and so they have these weird bumpers where sometimes they'll be doing an ad and then it will go into the show, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, is this an ad? Is this a show? What's going on?" And they have this thing at the end where they're like, red 2478. I didn't listen to Tannis. I listened to Rabbits. I was thinking about listening to Tannis. The problem with Rabbits, oh my God, Ryan with Cupcake, they're especially some of the guys' voices. I'm like, who are you? Who is talking right now? But Rabbits, I absolutely loved how messed up her story was. How she was trying to figure out the secret game and the secret organization. And then you started learning more about her, and she was the crazy one. You're like, ooh. But I think they wrapped it up too quickly. They tried to rush it. And so it just did not work out. And, and that's what I also hear is that if I find Rabbits messy, maybe skip Tannis. But if it's getting a show, I might listen to it. Because I enjoyed Rabbits. It just got real crazy near the end. What was the other? Oh, Limetown. God dang it. So that was the point. Was that I love when the main person actually ends up being a little more crazy than the subject matter. And I like that they had that she was involved, albeit in this really detached way. But she didn't really seem to notice that she was involved. And so as soon as she went down in the basement, they closed the door. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Oh, man.
And when actually kept me on the edge of my seat when I was at work. I was like, it kept me distracted for the moment.
It was great. Because especially once you understood what led to it and how everything kind of came together. But that woman at the end was terrifying. Because as soon as she started talking, I said, oh no, you aren't talking, you're confessing. And this is about to go very badly.
Especially when she put that timer.
When she put the timer, I was like, girl, get up. Get out of there. When she put the timer, and then she made that analogy, something about jumping out of a plane without a parachute or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was hoping that my chute wouldn't open. And I was like, ooh, girl, get out. Abort. And then when she was like, yeah, I get paid to be a fixer and to clean it up. And I'm going to take this pill. And if you want to, you could take one too. I was like, no. Oh, what was the deal within the wires, Ariette? Because I was going to listen to that too. But the first couple of episodes were way too stream of consciousness for me. Like, it was like, breathe in, breathe out. You are now, da, 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 da. And it was supposed to be like this museum walkthrough, but it just never went anywhere for me. So, but I didn't have the attention that I needed probably to really listen to it. Because I listen to these at work, you know. Yeah, I can feel that, Ariette.
Have you listened to The Once and Future Nerd?
No, I was going to, and then I was like, I'm not going to like this.
Yeah, I did not like it.
Yeah.
Like, the voices were all over the place. Like, they'll be right next to your ear and then far away. And then, like, there's a narrator the entire time. I was like, I didn't even make it past halfway of the first episode.
Exactly. It felt very much like a Dungeons and Dragons game put into a podcast. And I'm like, I don't need any of this. I will say, so Steal the Stars is a good one. It's another one that kind of goes off the rails, but it's really fun because they just kind of keep painting themselves into a corner. And then you have to figure out, like, how are they going to get out of this corner, you know? And then finally you just kind of get to the point where you're like, oh, you're not getting out of this. But are you? But the lady who plays the main character's name is Dakota Prentice, I think. And they call her Dak. And she works in this, I wasn't thinking, I saw the space one, but I wasn't sure. But, to the moment when they tell you, or I don't know, someone's there watching you, yikes. So she works in this facility that is basically housing a UFO. And inside of that UFO is an alien that's growing moss and this thing that they call the harp. I kept envisioning it as an actual harp, but, you know. And so, basically, in order to work for this facility, there are absolutely no personal relationships between anyone who works there. No personal relationships. And so if you get caught having a relationship, you can go to jail. Like, that's how serious they are about confidentiality and not being compromised. And they're like, we have a freaking alien, you know. And so, this Dak is the head of security, but Dak is also like ex special forces, and you know, she has all this stuff, but she has this very raspy voice, yeah, and her name is Dak, and you know, she's by the book, and she knows how to have a good time, but her idea of a good time is a whiskey and a quick screw behind the shed, you know, that kind of thing. And then Matt comes in, who is her newest kind of security trainee. And then, of course, they start a relationship. And so they're getting to the point where they're about to be found out. And they're like, okay, if we get found out, our lives are 100% completely over. How do we stay together? And then they're like, oh, we should leverage this alien. It's so good. Because you're like, this is an all or nothing decision. It is a ride or die. Once you start down this train, you cannot go back decision. And watching them deal with it is fantastic. It is such a good podcast. It's called Steal the Stars. You get used to her voice after a while. At first I was like, girl, I cannot deal with your little smoker Sopranos, My Cousin Vinny voice. But, oh man, what else? We'll find a good one. I have a good list of some. I was thinking about listening to the Space Girl one, but then I was like, that sounds a little bleak. Oh my God, the other thing about the bridge is that it had this little hipster girl, and she would say everything like this. And I was like, I hate you. And I really liked her, but she's like, she would have just a regular, you know, oh, here we are doing the traffic report, and just like we thought, no traffic to report. And I was like, what are you doing? It was a mess. Ooh, Potterless. Okay, I'll have to try it again a little bit later. But what is Potterless about? I'll have to check it out. We'll figure it out. But now we are at the 2-hour mark, which is crazy. I did not think it would go this long. Amazing. I love it. And yeah, we'll get it together. So thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight, BBS.
It was fun.
Yay! Oh yeah, so much fun with you. And we will definitely have to do it again, and we will find a... Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fun. But so my problem is I want something fiction, because I have a bunch of regular podcasts that I listen to that I love, but I want me some factions. So it'll be good. But we'll find a good one. All right. So with that, say goodnight, BBS.
Good night, everybody.
Say goodnight, Miss Dixie and Ariette. They'll say goodnight. Good night, everybody, and we will see you next time. Stay tuned for details about the rewatch on Friday, and the first episode is going to come out next Monday. Woohoo! Good night. Bye, BBS. We'll talk to you later.